If I make any mistakes during this live stream, you will have to forgive me because okay. I think this is it. All right, let me copy and post it in the chat. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm live now, but I am not sure how many of you are on live. So I am going to wait a little bit and at least ensure that at least one of you is on the live before, so that, oh, I guess I can start. Well, no, let me wait. Let me wait. Let me wait. Okay. Let me wait. All right. I'll probably need to edit this part out after, the recording posts on YouTube. Okay. Okay. All right. I have one person. Sorry, for some reason it doesn't allow me to chat, to hear, if somebody's online. But I think who said okay, good. Okay, two of you are online. Okay, good. Okay, that's enough because it's being recorded. So I don't need okay. All right. I'm not sure if you are able to chat on the live, but since we're all on Slack, I have my Slack open here. So if you have questions for me, I'll be looking, at the Slack. So you can post your questions in the Techlords channel, because that's where I'm looking. And you read, just post it on the main channel just to help me in seeing it. We'll answer questions as they come up. This session is going to be about an hour long. Okay. I'm not going to go through everything. So, I'm drawing the questions from, the URL that you all are studying, but I may not get through all the question examples. So whatever I don't get through today, I will do another one on Thursday, like I was originally planning. It will make sense for me to do this since you all are discussing it tomorrow. So I have time. Okay, so let's get started. I hope you can see my let me make it a little bigger. I hope you can see my document. If you can see my document, please post in Slack if it's possible. I don't know. I'm not used to this live. Aha, okay. We can chat here. Wonderful. I'm still JJC when it comes to this live stream. Okay, so you people can chat. Okay, good. So forget about Slack. We'll just be looking at the chat. I didn't know if you could chat. Wonderful. And I'm seeing your chat here. Please let me know if the screen is big. You don't want anybody squinting. Some of you are on your phone. Okay, good. All right. Okay, so let's cover number series, right? Because number series, there's an approach. And I think if you have the right approach, even if the problem is difficult, you can figure it out. Okay, so we're going to talk, I'm going to talk about approach. Okay, so I'm going to teach by doing. So I just do it together. And then if you have questions, ask me in the chat and I will cover your questions. Okay, so the whole thing with number series is a series of numbers that have some kind of relationship. It may not be obvious when you first look at it, but these numbers have a relationship, and that relationship is the same between each adjacent number. So the relationship between 3 and 6 is the same relationship between 6 and 11. and it's the same relationship between 11 and 18. But you cannot jump number. You cannot say a relationship between 3 and 6 is the same as 6 and 18. That's why it's called a series, a sequence. Okay, you don't jump the number. But as long as the numbers are adjacent to the same relationship, all right? So that is what you are using to now figure out what is the missing number. Okay, that's the first rule. As long as you understand the relationship between adjacent numbers is the same for each pair of number, for each adjacent pair of number is the same, right? That is what we are leaning on to now solve the problem. Okay, so because that relationship between the numbers is the same, the most important thing you want to do is figure out what that relationship is. If I can figure out a relationship between these adjacent set of numbers, then I can now guess. Okay, I can now calculate. Not even guess, it's calculate, because in math you don't have to guess, because math is precise. So you can now calculate what the missing number is. Okay, so let's go through it step by step. I have a lot of examples, so let's go through it step by step. So okay, they've already given you a clue. It says addition, which is nice, because some of these series they may not even give you a clue, so you have to be like, hey. But at least in this question they have said addition, so that already tells me that okay, it's some kind of addition relationship between this set of numbers. Okay, so the first thing I do, and this is how I figure it out, I will say, okay, how do I get from 3 to 6 by addition? Okay, what do I add to 3 to arrive at 6? Say addition, right? So I know, okay, if I add 3 to 3, it will give me 6. Okay, all right. So now, so I've figured that one. So okay, addition of 3. Let me highlight it. Okay, all right. So addition of 3 gets me from 3 to 6. Okay, now what is going to get me from 6 to 11? And I know addition again, right? Okay, so I'll now say, okay, 6 plus what will give me 11. Okay, and that number is 5. Okay, now this 3 is 5 is not the same. So automatically I now know that okay, it's not as if I'm adding the same number to each member of the series. Yeah, now yes, it's possible. I don't know how out school is going to do, I don't know how they're going to write the question, but it is quite possible that they may not tell you the type of operation. They may not. So that's why this thing takes practice. Nobody can wake up, even me, I cannot wake up in the morning and know how to do it. This thing takes practice. And the more you practice, you get better at detecting the operation between the numbers. Okay. So I hope they ask it the same way this practice website asked it. I hope that's how you get it in your exam, because it will help. But it's possible you may not get it. Okay. All right. So, when I look at this plus 3 and this plus 5, it's like it's not the same number. So that tells me, okay, it's not the same number I am adding to get the next number. All right. So let's continue. So now to get from 11 to 18, we add 7, right? 11 plus 7 gives us 18. Again, it's not the same number. That's okay. Let's walk it through. 18 to 27. 18 plus what gives us 27. Okay, that is 9. This is a simple problem, but I'm taking my time to break it down because number series is all about your approach. It's not about cramming. Get cramming, because if you're trying to cram, you will cram and you will miss road. It's all about the approach. I'm teaching you how to approach it. They throw at you at least some progress. And I think the out school exam is I think it's objective. That is, you answer as opposed to free answer. So at least by process of elimination, even if maybe you don't get, we'll talk about, even if you don't get the exact number, at least through elimination, you can say, okay, you can make an educated guess, the options they give you. Okay, so we see here that we are adding plus 7. Let me highlight it. And then we are adding plus 9. Let me also highlight that one. Okay, now we've gotten to our unknown, so we can continue. Now, let's look at now these numbers we are adding. Is there a sequence? Sometimes number series, there is series within the series. So this here is a series. Up here is a series. But the number that you are now adding, these numbers, they are also series. Okay, so let's pull them out. So we have 3, we have 5, we have 7, and we have 9. Just by looking at it, you can see that there is a series. What is the operation? The operation is +2. To get from 3 to 5 is +2. To get from 5 to 7 is +2. To get from 7 to 9 is +2. So now let's come back to our where we are working it out. So now we know that now 27, we have to add something to 27 to get, sorry, we have to add something to 27 to get our unknown. Okay, that is our unknown, right? And let's go further. We know we have to add something to our unknown to get 51. All right. So now we are dealing with the unknown. Okay, but I wrote it just like I wrote the first ones. You see those equations? I have written now the following equations that have now the unknown. Okay, and our unknown is this single. Let me highlight it. I'm taking my time. I'm not rushing. Some of you may say, "Oh, this is easy." Okay, fine. It's easy for you. Wonderful. I'm taking my time so that those who this is their first time in their life encountering number series can also be empowered to answer the question. Okay, so that's why I'm taking my time. It may look simple, but I'm teaching a process. Okay, so our unknown is this purple question mark. Okay, let me also highlight it here so that visually you understand where we are. Okay, all right, so now coming down to this inner sequence, you know, the 3, the 5, the 7, the 9. We already know now that, okay, this is +2 that is generating this inner sequence. Okay, so now how do we, because we now have, we need to figure out what is this. Oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Sorry, the double question mark is the unknown. Forgive me. The double question mark is the unknown. I made a mistake. Sorry. Okay, is this double one that is the unknown? The single is the operator that we are adding. Okay, I'm happy I caught myself. Okay, so let's remove, let's fix it. So the double question mark is the unknown. Okay, and the single question mark is the operator. Okay, so now we know that. Okay, so we can add that is we can figure out. Okay, because you see this is 3, 5, 7, 9. What is this? What is the next number in this inner sequence? We can figure it out because it's +2. So 9 + 2 is 11. Okay, and then we can figure out even the next one because it's +2. So 11 + 2 is 13. So now we have solved the inner sequence. This what the numbers that we are adding. We have solved the numbers that we are adding. We have not solved the ultimate question yet, but at least we have solved the number we are adding. So now instead of this question mark here, we can now put 11. Why? Because we worked it out down here. Let me highlight it. Okay, we worked it out down here. Actually, let me make it yellow, just in keeping with what that is in keeping with our convention. So we have worked out the yellow numbers down here because that one is easy. +2, 3 + 2, 5 + 2, 7 + 2, 9 + 2, 11 + 2, 13, and we can continue. Okay, so now this unknown, we make it 11, and then the next one is now 13 because we have worked it out. Let me highlight it. Okay, all right, so we have worked it out. So now we can do the math. So now the 27 + 11 is what? 38. Okay, and now we can plug that 38 to now test it. Okay, if it is 38, if we continue the sequence, will it give us 51? Okay, so if we put now here 38, and we know that 38 + 13 is indeed 51. All right, so the answer, the number here is 38. Okay? You see how we did it? It's step by step using the clue. This was a good clue for us. Hopefully, in your exam, they will provide it like this. But just in case they don't, practice. Okay? But this clue made us to know, okay, the operation between the set of numbers is addition. We are adding something. So we now wrote it out. I'm taking us through. We wrote it out. 3 plus 3, 6. 6 plus 5, 11. 11 plus 7, 18. 18 plus 9, 27. Then we now pulled out this sequence, this inner sequence down here, and figured out that, okay, this 2 is its own sequence, but we can easily see it's plus 2 for all of them. Okay? So by that extension, we now extended past 9. So, okay, 9 plus 2, 11. Okay, 11 plus 2, 13. So we're now able to plug these two numbers into our equations here. We plugged in 11 and we plugged in plus 13. And then we did the operation, the mathematics, the arithmetic, and that is the addition, and it gave us 38. Then we took that same, because you see, in the original sequence, there's a number that came after the question mark. And that is good because it's a way to test yourself that, okay, the way I'm calculating it, if I did the answer I arrived at, does it still work for the next number after the answer? That's what we did. Okay, so you now have 38 plus 13, which we figured out down here, actually did give us 51. So that makes us confident that this 38 is correct. Okay? I want to give people time now. Can you put in the chat whether that makes sense? This one, I'm not asking you whether the whole number series makes sense. I'm asking this particular question that we just broke down. Does it make sense? Please put in the chat. If it does not make sense, let me know the part that does not make sense, because I don't want to move on if some of us are still confused. So if you can please put it in the chat. Yes, Arit, it made sense. No, it did not make sense. Some of you may be in Slack, so let me check Slack. Okay, nobody's in Slack. Okay. Okay, I'm waiting for some confirmation in the chat before I continue, because I don't want to leave anybody behind. It makes sense. Okay, good. Thank you for, okay, I've heard from some of you. Okay. At any time, if anything does not make sense, just say it in the chat and tell me where to go back, okay? I will repeat myself. And this is also recorded. So some of you, if you come and watch it a second time, you can now get it better, okay? So this will be on my channel, on the ARI Developer channel after I finish. Okay, so let's move on now to the next question, okay? This one now is subtraction. And let me tell you, I didn't work on this before this session. So I'm coming into this cold. So I didn't do it, behind, and then I'm now pretending. No, I didn't do it. So I'm coming into it cold. So some of these questions, it may even make me to say, okay, I don't get it. But at least you get to watch, the process, Okay. Okay, good. So it seems to be making sense. Okay, good. Let's come now to this one. Okay. Now, this one is telling us it is a subtraction. All right. So we have that hint that, okay, we are going to be subtracting numbers as we go down the series. Okay. So let's look at it. Always, if you go for this, if you're taking this exam, make sure you have a lot of scratch paper and, number of pencils. There's no need to keep things in your head. Write it out somewhere. When you see it on paper, sometimes it makes better sense than you're trying to calculate it in your head. Okay. So let's say, so we know 50 minus something is going to give us 45. 45 minus something is going to give us 40. 40 minus something is going to give us 35. 35 minus something is going to give us 30. Okay? And now 30 minus something is going to give us our unknown. Let me make it double question. Okay? All right. So we have our unknown, Again, it may look easy. I'm going to walk us through, because that is the sneaky, tricky thing about some of them are very easy, some of them are very difficult. So cramming, if it's just cram, you will not make it. You have to have a systematic approach, a way you approach each number series. That's what I'm teaching. I'm teaching you an approach. When you run into the difficult ones, or if you run into the ones that there's no clue, if they didn't give you a clue, you can still answer it. Okay? So it may look easy. Don't let the easy, that is, don't let the simplicity of it fool you. Okay? All right. So we can look, we know it's subtraction. So we see here that it looked like, that is what will you subtract from 50 to get 45? We know is 5. Okay. So we put 5. What will you subtract 45 to get 40? We know it's 5. 40 to 35, we know it's 5. 35 to 30, 5. So now, when you look at the inner sequence, the inside series, what is the inside series? Let's write it. Sorry, we have a highlight applied. Okay, it's 5, 5, 5, 5. We have 4 5s. So it stands to reason that the next number in this inside series will also be 5. All right. So we can now put 5 here. So 30 minus 5 gives us now 25. Okay. And there's no number after. So this is the last number. Okay. So we can now put here 25. All right. This one was, see how it was very straightforward compared to the last one. But still go through your process, still go through your approach. Because it is when you write it out like this, you now begin to see the pattern, okay, that is behind the series of number, okay? Before I move on to the next one, please indicate in the chat, does it make sense? Should I go over something again? Let me see. Somebody asked, is there a possible formula that can be Shaya? We are not the number series question is not asking for formula. It's not asking you to generate a formula. That one is over Sabi. The point of number series is whatever the missing number is, you calculate it. Now, if it helps you individually to create a formula, go ahead. Okay, if it helps you to create a mathematical formula, you can go ahead. But the question itself is not asking for formula, it's asking for the missing number. Okay. Somebody asked, can we have a recorded? Yes, this will be recorded because it's a YouTube live. So it's going to be recorded on my YouTube. So if you go later to my YouTube channel, Arit Developer, I will post it in the Slack. It will now be available as a rewatch. Okay. So you'll be able to rewatch it. So that's not a problem. Okay. All right. Please let me know. It makes sense. We can proceed. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Okay. All right. So let's move on to this one. This is now multiplication. All right. Okay. We're going to use the same approach. Okay. We're going to use the same approach. So we have our clue. Okay. Nameka asks, how does someone get to know the type of series? So that is what I'm explaining to you. In this website that you people are using, okay, the website that Wabo, I hope I'm saying her name correctly, the website that Wabo posted is giving you a clue, okay? It's giving you a clue. But it may, when you go for your exam, you may not have that clue, right? So that is why I am teaching it the way I'm teaching it. I'm writing everything out for you to see so that you can learn the technique. So that if you don't have a clue, you will not be stuck. You will not say, oh Lord, I don't have a clue. I cannot move further. With this method I am teaching you, even without a clue as to what the operator is, you can still make some computations and help yourself. Okay? All right. So let's continue. So here is our missing number. This is a multiplication series. We have a clue. This is our missing number. Let us highlight it. Okay. So let's work out now what is happening. So because it says multiplication, what does that mean? It means that to get from this number to this number, we have to multiply something. We have to multiply this number by something to get this number. Also, it also means that we have to multiply this 11 by something to get 24.2. Okay? So the clue has helped us a little bit that, okay, we are going to be multiplying by something. So let's write it out. Okay, so 5 times, let me use x because I think that makes more sense. Okay, so 5 times something is giving us 11. Okay, 11 times something is giving us 24.2. 24.2 times something is giving us 53.24. 53.24 times something is giving us our unknown. Am I doing any mathematics yet? No. Am I computing anything? No. I am simply writing it out. There's a question. Is this for back-end engineering? No, this is for everybody. This is number series. So everybody is going to get this in their exam. So you see, I am writing it out, because when I write it out, I'm not cramming, it's not here in my head. I'm trying, no. Put it on paper. It will help you. Okay. So where were we? Okay, we got to our unknown. Now our unknown multiplied by something should give us 257.6816. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and highlight. Okay, let's go ahead and highlight. The highlighting is to help you visually, okay, so you can keep track of what is happening. Okay, let us highlight our inner sequence. We don't even know what it is yet. Okay, but let's highlight it. Okay, all right, just bear with me. Okay. So now let's go in. Let's see what's happening. Okay. How are we going to get this first number? This first, that is this first multiplier. How do we get it? Well, multiplication is simply division backwards. So if you don't know what is being multiplied, you use division. Okay. So in this case, to get that number, I can also say 11 divided by 5. Okay, 5 times something equals 11. Therefore, 11 divided by 5 will give me the something. Okay, and what is that something? Let me bring up my calculator, because it's not as if I cannot do it. Okay, but let's not shoot ourselves in the foot when we don't need to. Okay, so here's my calculator. So 11 divided by 5 is giving me 2.2. Okay, so that tells me that this yellow question mark is 2.2. Okay, so let's keep it. Okay, and let me gray this out because it's no longer important. Okay, let's move on to the next one. 11 times what will give us 24.2? Well, we can use division. Okay, we can say 24.2 divided by 11 give us what? Okay, where's my calculator? So 24.2 divided by 11, 2.2. Okay, so now we put 2.2 there, right? Okay, let's move on here. Same thing. We use our division, because division is multiplication backwards. All right. So our 53.24 divided by 24.2 give us, it's 2.2. I'm not going to calculate it. Okay. So now we can put our 2.2 there. So as we have done the mathematics of this sequence, okay, as we have done the mathematics of this sequence, we are seeing now that what is the common operation is multiplication by 2.2. 2.2, 2.2, 2.2. So it stands to reason that this is also multiplied by 2.2. And this here is also multiplied by 2.2. Daniela, we did addition earlier. So when you rewatch this video, at the very top, we did addition, okay? So we have already gone, we have already done that. This is now the third question, okay? So when you rewatch this, you can get the addition, all right? So now we know how to compute our missing number, all right? Let me bring up my calculator again. So now we have 53.24 times 2.2, and that gives us 117.128. 117.128. So now we plug our answer into the next equation because we have not finished the sequence. We have not finished it. There's a number after. So we take this now and we plug it into our final equation. And if we are right, this number 117.128 multiplied by 2.2 should give us 257.6816. So let's see if that is the case. All right. So this is our 117.128 multiplied by 2.2, 257.6816. All right. So the answer to our missing number in the series is 117.128. All right. Okay. Somebody is asking Fibonacci. We may not get there today. We will see. All right. And is that a question? I don't know. Okay. All right. So this was an example based on multiplication. All right. Does it make sense? I think the thing with this one was figuring out that, okay, to get the operator, you can use division. Okay. Some of you had DM'd me about this particular question. And I think the key here was realizing that you can use division to get this operator number. Okay. All right. So let me give people chance. Do we understand, or is there anything that is still confusing? Let me know before I continue. Let me drink water because you talk like this, your throat will just be so parched. Okay, it makes sense. Yes, Nameka, division is multiplication backwards. Multiplication is division backwards. So 2 times 2 equals 4. 4 divided by 2 equals 2. It's almost like two sides of one coin, division and multiplication. Okay. Okay, I'm not hearing anybody say they are confused. So let's move on. Okay. So this now is division. Okay. So this is what we are working on now. Okay. So this is, we have a clue. It says division. So that is already telling me, okay, there's a division operation going on between the numbers. So what do? Let's write out our equations. Okay. By now, you should be getting into the swing of things, right? Okay. So let's write it. So we know it's going to be divided by something, and it's going to equal 1024. Okay. Oh, sorry. Aha. Okay. And then we know our 1024 is going to be divided by something, and it's going to equal 256. And we know our 256 is going to be divided by something, which is going to give us our unknown. And then we know our unknown is going to be divided by something, and it's going to give us 16. And then we know 16 is going to be divided by something, and it's going to give us 4. All right. So let me go ahead and do our customary highlighting again to aid understanding so that you can keep track of which question mark is which. All right. Okay. Okay. Matthew has a question. What is the aim? Aptitude test. That's a good question. I'm not with Outschool Africa, so I cannot tell you what their purpose is in testing this, but we know for a fact that number series is going to be part of the test. Okay, somebody say aptitude test. Okay, wonderful. I don't know their purpose, but it's up to them to decide what to test you people before you start, you know, that is before you become students with them. Okay. All right. Now, let us also highlight our inside series, okay, so that we can pull it out if we need to, all right, to help us figure out what is going on. Okay. All right. So 4096 divided by what gives us 1024. So we can do this another way. We can say 4096 divided by 1024 gives us what? All right. So let me pull out calculator. Divided by 1024, that gives us 4. Okay. So our answer here is 4. All right. We come down here, same thing. 1024 divided by what will give us 256. If we do it in the calculator, 1024 divided by 256 give us 4. Okay, 4. All right. We have 2 unknowns here, so we cannot do that. We also have 2 unknowns here, so we cannot do what we did for these first 2. But our final equation is only 1 unknown, so we can do the same thing. So we can do 16 divided by 4 will give us the missing number, and we know that is 4. So now looking at this sequence, I'm going to pull it out. It looks simple, but I'm going to do it because I want you to get the approach, the methodology. Okay. So we have 4, we have 4, we have question, we have question, and then we have 4. Okay. That's our inner sequence, right? So when we look at this inner sequence, it stands to reason, it makes sense that this 2 inner question mark is also 4. Okay, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. So now we plug in 4 here, and we plug in 4 here. Now we have just 1 unknown instead of 2 unknowns. So we can do the computation. So now 256 divided by 4 gives us what? 64. Okay, but there's another place to plug in that 64 because we are not done with our original series. So now if we plug 64 in here, 64 divided by 4 actually does give us 16. So we can be confident that the missing number is 64. Okay. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? Let me know in the chat. If it doesn't make sense, I can explain what is confusing. Let me give you some time. Okay. Okay. Okay, good. Wonderful. So let's move on. Okay. I have about 25 minutes left. Okay, so let's move on. All right. So the next one is now square series. What is that about? Okay, well, let's work on it. Okay. So this is square series, which is speaking of an operator that is using square. So what is square? When you say something is square in math, okay? So when you say 2 squared, okay, is the same as saying 2 times itself, okay? So the square of a number is that number times itself, okay? That's mathematics. So 2 squared is 2 times 2, okay, which is equal to 4. 5 squared is the same as saying 5 times 5 is equal to 25. So 5 squared is 25. 2 squared is 4. 3 squared is 9. Okay. 10 squared is 100. Okay. So the clue is telling us that square of numbers is part of the operator. But we don't know how yet. I don't know how yet. Like I said, I didn't do this beforehand. Okay. So let's work it out together. Okay. So we see 49, we see 121, we see 169, we see something else, some unknown, okay? And then we see 361, okay? All right. Now, this 169 and this 361, I'm looking at it like, what is that? How? But let's forget about that. Let's start at the beginning, okay? You see this 49, and the clue said square. So is 49 a square number? Yes, it is. Okay? 49 is the square of 7. So I can put here, I don't even know where I'm going. I'm just going to write. We're doing this together, even though I'm teaching, because I didn't see these questions before. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay? So we're going to work on it together. Okay. So 49 is the square of 7. So I can say 49 equals 7 times 7, which is true. Okay. I also know that 121 is the square of 11. Okay. So 121 is equal to 11 times 11. Okay. Now, if we want to continue how we have started, and we don't even know if we are right yet, but let's continue. The thing with mathematics is if you are wrong, you can always go back to where you made mistake and you can do something different. Okay. So let's continue. 169, we know, or we are expecting it to be the square of a number, but we don't know what the number is. I mean, you can look it up online, but right now I don't know what that number is. So I'm going to say question mark times question mark. Okay. Then we know our unknown. Let's also assume our unknown is also a square. Our unknown is something times something. Okay. And then the final number, again, we're going to assume it is also a square. The 361 is equal to something times something. We don't know. All right. Okay. So let's look at what we do know. We have this 7 times 7 is 49. We have this 11 times 11 is 121. Now, let's look at this 7. Let's look at this number 7. Okay. We already have an inner sequence happening. Okay. And then this is unknown. This is unknown. And this is unknown. One thing with maths is you have to become very comfortable with unknowns. Okay. So we have this inner sequence, okay? An inner sequence of number that is being multiplied by itself to now give the original number. So we have 7 and we have 11. What is the difference between 7 and 11? Is 4. Okay? How do you get from 7 to 11? You add 4. So let's try. We don't know. Okay, if we make a mistake, we'll go back. Is it possible that this third number could be 11 plus 4? This third number here, is it possible? Let's see. So 11 plus 4, wait, hold on. No, that is not correct. Well, let's walk it through. I don't know this, so let's walk it through. So this is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 plus 4. Okay? So if we say maybe the sequence is plus 4, then 11 plus 4 is 15. So let's put 15. Let's just see. Okay? So if this is 15 and this is 15, is 15 times 15 169? No, it's not. Okay? 15 times 15 is 225. So that tells us that the method we used to arrive at 15 is not correct, because if it were correct, then we would have had 225 here, but we had 169. Okay, so we return this to unknown. We return it to unknown because that is not the progression from 7 to 11. The next is not 15, because if it were 15, then this would have made sense. It would have been 225. Okay, so let's return it to unknown. Okay, what other sequence could be happening here? You have 7, you have 11. What type of number is 7? And what type of number is 11? I don't know in mathematics if you know what is called prime number. Okay, let's put it down here. Okay, so you have prime numbers. Prime numbers are numbers that can only be divided by themselves and number 1. Okay, so prime numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7, 11. The next one is 13. Okay, and you can calculate it. You go from 1. Can you divide 2? I guess 2 is a prime number too. Technically, some people don't consider it. Okay, 2 is a prime number. Then you go to 3. Can you divide 3 by anything? No, you always have a remainder. If you go to 4, 4 divided by 2 is 2, so that's not a prime number. You go to 5. Can you divide anything by 5 equally? No, so it's prime. You go to 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3, so not a prime number. You go to 7. Can you divide anything into 7 without remainder? No, so 7 is prime. And you continue like that. 11 is prime, 13 is prime. The next prime number after 13 is 17. Okay, so it is looking like, even though we have only 2 numbers, it's looking like, okay, this isn't addition. This isn't an addition that we are doing. It probably isn't a subtraction too, because you cannot subtract anything from 7 to get 11. So what else could be happening? Maybe it's prime numbers. So we have our prime numbers down here, 7, 11. The next one is 13. So why don't we try 13? You see how we tried 15? It didn't work. That's okay. Don't panic. Erase your work. Go back to where you made mistake. So let's try 13. Okay. So if I put 13 and 13 here, and I go and do the mathematics, okay, 13 times 13, I get 169. Okay, so we are on to something. Okay, we have not solved it, we have not solved it, but at least we are getting somewhere. All right, okay, so now we can replace 13 here in our inner sequence. Okay, so it's looking like this prime numbers approach might be working. Okay, so what is the next prime number after 13? Well, we had it down here. 14 is not, 15 is not, 16 is not, and so we land on 17. So let's try 17 and see. Okay, so we put 17 here, we put 17 here, and we do the mathematics. Okay, 17 times 17, and we get 289. Now, let's look at that number. Does it make sense? We know 17 times 17 is 289, but does 289 make sense in our series? Well, it does a little bit, because it is more than 169, but it is less than 361. Okay. If it was more than 361, we would have said, okay, something is wrong because it's out of order. Okay. This thing is approach. It's not cramming, it's approach. And that's why you need to practice. Okay? Don't look at these 5 weeks remaining and say you have time. You don't have time. You should be practicing this every day in addition to the other topics. Okay? All right. So let's plug in 289 and just see what happens. Okay? All right. So we put 289. I'm not going to change it up here yet because we're not exactly sure. We are still seeing. All right? Okay. So now we have 289 that we made to be our unknown. Okay. Let me make it a little different just so we don't lose track. Okay. So that's what we are thinking is our unknown. Now, let's move to the next prime number because we still have this 361 and we need to see, okay, is our approach, does it make sense? Somebody said you did not include 9 and 15. No, 9 and 15 are not prime number because prime number is you can divide another number into it and not get a remainder. So you can divide 9 by 3 and get 3. So 9 is not prime. You can divide 15 by 3 and get 5, or you can divide 15 by 5 and get 3. So 9 and 15 are not prime number. Prime number is a number that the only number you can divide into it and not get a remainder is itself or number 1. That's the definition of prime. Okay. So coming back down to our prime number, what is the next prime number after 17? It's not 18. It looked like maybe it's 19. Okay. It looked like 19. There's no other number you can divide into 19 without a remainder except 19 itself. Okay, so our next prime number is 19. Let's plug 19 into our equation and see if it works. Okay, so we have 19. So let's do the calculation, right? So we have 19 times 19, 361. Okay, 361. So that gives us confidence that our suspicion that the inner numbers were prime number going up, it appears to be right. Okay, so now we can confidently, or more confidently, we can say that our missing number, let me highlight it properly, is 289. Okay, this one was, as you can tell, a little more complicated. Okay, there were several things that you needed to recognize. All right, the clue helped. If you didn't have this clue, it may have been harder, but the clue helped in that we said it is a square. It's based on square. The series is based on square. So now with that knowledge and a little bit of mathematics knowledge, you know that, okay, 49 is square of 7, 121 is square of 11. So we wrote out our equations. Remember, this equation was question mark everywhere. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Even if it's question mark everywhere, don't be afraid. You use what you have. What we had was the 49, 7 times 7, and the 121, 11 times 11. That's what we had. Okay? Aha. So from there, then remember, we initially said, okay, maybe the difference between this inner number is addition of 4. So 7 plus 4 is 11. So 11 plus 4 is 15. But when we plug 15 in here to multiply by itself, we didn't get 169. So that made us to know, okay, it's not addition. Then the second part you needed to know from your mathematics is prime number. Once I saw 7 and I saw 11, it triggered prime number. So I came down and I wrote out my prime numbers. Okay. And then from 7, 11, next prime number is 13. So I plugged 13 in the next equation and it worked. And the next prime number, 17, I plugged 17 and it worked. And I plugged 19 and it worked. Okay. So I'm so happy this is being recorded because some of this, you may have to watch it multiple times to really grab it. And that is fine. Okay. That is fine. That's what learning is. You expose yourself multiple times, and with each exposure, something more click. Okay. All right. I have about 10 more minutes. Let me stop here. This was a lot. Okay, this particular question was a lot. So let me ask, do we have any questions? Okay, any part of this that was confusing? Would you like me to do it again? Okay, if you want me to run it again, I can do that. Anybody? Okay. Yes, Tosin, you are correct. Knowledge of prime number was needed here. You are correct. Okay. Jamilu says, when we ask, you might not get a clue. Yes, it's possible. I'm not with Outschool Africa. I'm not, one of their staff. So I don't know, I don't know what, how the question is going to be. So, if they ask number series question and they give a clue, that will be good. But I think you should prepare for it even without a clue. Okay. All right. Somebody said, thank you for the recording. Where can we find the recorded version? In the Slack. So my channel on YouTube is Ari Developer. So youtube.com/Ari Developer. The recording of this will be on there once I finish, once I wrap. Okay. Chukudi, you said you just joined. Okay, Chukudi, because you just joined, just try to follow along as much as you can. But it will be better instead of me to run it again, since you just joined. It's different if you have been here from the beginning. But since you just joined, I'm going to continue. What you can do, Chukudi, is watch the recording. Okay? The recording will take you now from beginning. And from beginning, you will see how we worked the problem. Since you say you just joined. All right, welcome. Good news, well broken down. Oh, thank you, my dear. Okay. All right. So let's do one more. Okay. Let's do one more. And then, like I said, let's do one more. And then I will repeat this session again on Thursday. I will let you know time. I will do this again and I will tackle more of the questions that is in that website. Okay. For those of you that are just joining, I'm not going to run again. The reason why is because you are just joining. Okay. So it's going to look confusing because you just joined. Those of you who are just joining, I invite you, after we wrap up in the next few minutes, go and watch the recording on my YouTube channel. It's going to be youtube.com/Ari Developer. And I will post the link in the Slack as well. Okay. So if you watch from beginning, it will help you to be able to follow along. Okay. And then on Thursday, we're going to do this again. All right. Invite as many people as are also in taking the Outschool, and you think this will be helpful for them, this number series. Yes. And if there's other topics as well that you need, and I will post this in the Slack. If there's other topics in this exam that you also need something like this, just let me know. That's why I joined the Slack. When Uwabo invited me, is because I want to be as much of a help as I can, for you all to get your tech career. Okay. All right. So let's continue. I have a few more minutes. Okay. So this question, if we have a clue, it says it's based on cube series. Cube. So we just came from square. Now we are in cube. So what is a cube? In mathematics, a cube is a number multiplied by itself 3 times. Okay. So a square is multiplied twice. A cube is multiplied 3 times. Okay. So 2 times 2 times 2 is equal to 8. That's a cube of 8. That's a cube of 2 is 8. Okay. 3 times 3 times 3 is equal to 27. So the cube of 3 is 27. Okay. So that's what is cube. So the clue is telling us that, okay, these numbers in the series is looking like it's cube numbers. Okay. So just like we did with square, let's do with cube. Okay. So let's start. So 8, we know, is the cube of 2 times 2 times 2. Okay. So we are guessing that 64 is also a cube. Okay. We don't know what of yet, but we are guessing it's a cube. So 64 is equal to something times something times something. We don't know. Okay. All right, but what are we doing? We are writing our equations, okay? These equations, this breaking down is what will give you power to figure out, the answer. So that's why if you see with every question that we have covered so far, I have written out equations, okay? All right, so we say 216 is equal to something times something times something. And then our unknown is also equal to something times something times something. And then our 1000 is equal to something times something times something. Okay. So let's see which of these can we solve just using our mathematics. Okay. So 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. Okay. Let's put our sequence down here, our inner sequence. So we have 2, we have something, we have something, we have something, and we have something. Okay. So 4 somethings and 1 2. Okay. So let's go up here. So 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. Okay. 4 times 4 times 4. You see what I'm doing? I'm just stepping up the numbers. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. 4 times 4 times 4 is what? Let's do it in calculator. So 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. Okay. So we have figured out that this unknown here is 4. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. 5 times 5 times 5 is what? 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. That isn't 216. Not yet. Okay. But we stepped up 5. So let's do 6. Okay. 6 times 6 times 6 is 16. Okay. So we have 6. So what do we see here? What do we see here? Okay. So now we have 3 knowns and 2 unknowns as far as our inner, okay, our inner series. Okay. You have the original series, but we have now the inner one that we are working out. Okay. So what do we see? We see 2, we see 4, and we see 6. You don't know the rest yet. You don't know. Okay. But what do we see happening in the inner sequence? Well, it's looking like it's plus 2. 2 plus 2, 4. 4 plus 2, 6. So what could the next one be? 6 plus 2, 8. Okay. And then what could the final one be? 8 plus 2, 10. Okay. Now we have 10 as the last inner number. Let's plug it in and see if we get 1000. All right. So 10 times 10 is 100 times 10 is 1000. So you see how we are getting more confidence that, okay, we're on the right track. So if that 10, which was the last in the sequence, then it's looking like this 8 that we have in our inner sequence can fit the bill here. So we'll say 8 times 8 times 8. And we calculate that with our calculator. 8 times 8 times 8. And we get 512. Does it make sense in the sequence? Well, it is more than 216 and it is less than 1000. So it fits. Okay. And we have figured out from our inner sequence that that fourth inner number is 8. So we can say with some strong level of certainty that our unknown is 512. Okay? That one I went a little faster. And I went a little faster because we have already established our approach. Okay? How do we break it down? How do we generate these equations that help us to see on paper what is happening? Don't keep it here in your head. Don't know. Write it on paper. Write it out. And ask yourself, okay, what pattern am I seeing? Okay? Now, for this question, we had the clue of cube. And so that was what we used to say, okay, maybe these numbers up here are cube numbers. So if they are cube numbers, what is the number that generated them? Okay, so now we came down to our equation. We say 8 is a result of 2 cubed. 64 is the result of 4 cubed. All right, 216 is the result of 6 cubed. And those were the three numbers we had. So then we came down and we created our inner sequence of 246. And then we said, okay, 246 is all plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. So maybe the next one is 6 plus 2, 8. And then the final one is 8 plus 2, 10. And then we plugged it in and it matched. Okay? All right. I'm going to stop there because I have a meeting at 12 my time, 12 p.m. So I have to prepare. I think this was helpful. I hope it was helpful to everybody. Like I said, this is going to be, I'm going to post it in the chat, in the Slack, my channel URL. Once I end the live stream, it's going to be there as a recording. Okay, so you can watch this from the beginning. Like I said, on Thursday, I'm going to do another live stream where we are going to answer the rest of the questions in that website. Okay, let me show you. So this is the website that I think was posted in the Slack. So we have done question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, and question 5 and question 6. So on Thursday, we are going to proceed with question 7, question 8, question 9, and question 10. Okay, and I will also use Thursday to answer. I will also use, yes, Sheye just made a point now. He said that these are also multiples of 8. And he's correct. The reason why I didn't go through the multiples of 8 was because the clue was cube. So I solved it with a cube approach. If this had said multiples, then that would have been, because 8 times 8 is 64. And let's see, 216 divided by 64. Aha, you see? So multiples, it may have broken down a little bit. It's probably possible, but the clue said cube. So that's why I used cube. Okay, yes. But Sheye has a good observation. Okay, so I need to wrap this up. Like I said, Thursday, we will continue the rest of those questions in the website that people are using to study. Watch this video, share it with anybody that you think it will benefit. And Thursday, I will let you know the time. Once I decide the time, I will let you know. And Thursday, we will finish this. And I will also use Thursday to ask, any related question to this number series. All right. And like I said, if session like this will help you with other topics that you are studying for the exam, please let me know in the Slack. Okay. At least this week, because it's the last week of the year, I'm not as busy at work. So I do have some time. So if other topics will be helpful, not just number series, let me know in the Slack, okay? And I will try and create time so that we can have this live session like this, okay? All right, everyone. For those of you who made it out, thank you so much. I will leave information you need in the Slack, and I'll see you all on Slack, okay? God bless.